I, 61 years old, lost my cousin Brenda, 60 years old, in November. Our mothers were identical twins, extremely close, and our relationship was more like sisters than cousins. Brenda never married or had children, and her brother Ben and his husband John lived in a city 2 hours from our small town, but rarely visited. While Brenda and Ben were close at one point, Brenda developed a strong dislike for John. She felt he was conniving and domineering with Ben, pursued him for his money, and overstepped with family and estate matters when my uncle was terminally ill in 2009. After my aunt passed in 2005, despite my uncle still living, Ben took jewelry from her jewelry box without permission because he had gifted it to her years ago and felt he was entitled to it. This led to fallout, and he was made to return it. He was originally supposed to serve as the executor of my uncle's will, but whatever he had drawn up and had Brenda sign raised concerns for my uncle. He told her at one point, "I see I need to make some changes here before you end up on the street." He drew up a new will, naming them co-executors, and divided the estate 50-50. Ben was unaware of this change before my uncle's death and was enraged by the discovery. This led to a heated argument in which he referred to Brenda as a freeloader for still living at home, despite splitting expenses with their parents and serving as their primary caregiver near the end of their lives, with Ben being minimally involved. Ben made Brenda buy his half of the house to continue living there, and the estate was settled. After this, Brenda informed me and several family members that I was to be the executor of her will. She was a notorious procrastinator and discussed it often, but never took steps to address it. After she asked about the process again last spring, I suggested that she and a paralegal we both knew, who would be attending our July 4th party, could discuss the matter there. She dictated her wishes to her, and the paralegal compiled the will on her laptop that day with the plan to email it to me so I could print it and give it to Brenda since she didn't own a computer. She always told me I was to receive her jewelry as I was her closest female relative, but informed me that she wanted to leave her house and half of her money to me as well, with the rest to go to Ben. She was adamant she didn't want her home to end up in John's possession. We didn't discuss it again until September, when she told me that she was waiting for the transfer upon death deed to be processed to sign everything together. Unfortunately, she passed before this was completed, and Ben found her will unsigned in her house. When I broached the topic, he erupted, told me I stomped on his soul, and accused me of planting Brenda's will in her house the day she died. He honored none of her wishes, cleaned out and listed her house within 6 weeks, kept all of her money, and distributed her jewelry to others. I felt like they had unresolved issues, and I was dragged into the middle and left holding the bag. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This isn't a relationship advice subreddit. Ben wanted his half-house inheritance as was his right, either by selling it to Brenda or selling it to a third party. He did nothing wrong there. Brenda didn't have a valid will, which means her wishes weren't made legal, and the laws of wherever you live determine who inherited. You seem to drag yourself in, being annoyed Brenda didn't get the full house she inherited only half of, and annoyed her wishes weren't met despite her not making them legal. Stay out of it, and there'd be no bad to be left holding. You aren't involved in any of it. You're the idiot, and you're also in the wrong subreddit. Comment 2. Being an AH or not an AH doesn't really matter in a legal matter like this. He sounds like a weenie, but of course he would because you paint him that way. He's abiding by the current enforceable will. You had the idea of a new will in your favor, but it was never signed, so it's not real. If I were in his shoes and had a legal sign while saying one thing, and some family member comes up to me after someone dies to say that they were verbally told they would get X, I'd probably ignore the request too. No idiots here now for the update. Thank you for sticking with me here. So the past 3 months have been pretty hard on us. After Ben accused me of planting the will, things got really ugly. He's been spreading rumors in our small town that I tried to cheat him out of his inheritance. It's like high school all over again, but with higher stakes. People I've known my whole life are looking at me sideways, whispering when I walk by. It's humiliating. But here's the thing, I found out something about Ben that made my blood boil. Turns out he's been having financial troubles. Big ones. His fancy lifestyle with John is all smoke and mirrors. They've been living off credit cards and loans, and now it's all catching up to them. I guess that's why he was so desperate to get his hands on Brenda's money. Then last month, something happened that brought all these hidden feelings to the surface. Ben's husband, John, showed up at my door. He was all tears and apologies, saying he never knew about the will and that Ben had lied to him too. He said they were on the brink of losing everything and begged me to understand. I didn't know what to believe. Part of me felt sorry for him, but the other part was screaming that this was just another one of their cons. Amidst all this, I've been dealing with my own grief. Losing Brenda was like losing a part of myself. And dealing with this mess, it's like I'm losing her all over again. I've been trying to honor her memory in my own way, keeping her house tidy, even though it's not mine anymore. I've been planting flowers in her garden, just like she used to. It's the one place I feel close to her. But then, 2 weeks ago, I caught Ben in Brenda's house. He was there with a realtor and a couple who looked like potential buyers. I confronted him, and in front of everyone, he had the nerve to say that I was trespassing and that I should leave before he called the cops. Can you believe that? In Brenda's house, the house she wanted me to have, I was so angry I did something I never thought I'd do. I told the couple everything, about the unsigned will, about Brenda's wishes, about how Ben had taken everything. I didn't care about the consequences. I just wanted them to know the kind of man they were dealing with. The couple walked out, and the realtor followed them, leaving me and Ben alone. He was furious, said I'd pay for this. But I stood my ground. I told him that Brenda deserved better, that she deserved to have her last wishes respected. And then I left. I haven't heard from Ben since that day. The house is still on the market, but I've heard through the grapevine that people are being cautious. Word gets around fast in a small town, and my outburst seems to have made an impact. I've been spending a lot of time with the paralegal who helped Brenda with her will. She's been a great support, and we've been going through all the legal options. It's a long shot, but we're trying to see if there's any way to honor at least some of Brenda's wishes. It's been tough, but I'm hanging in there. I know I did the right thing by speaking up, even if it means I'll never see a dime of Brenda's money. I just hope that wherever she is, she knows I tried. Thank you for reading. My pregnant friend expects the world on a silver platter, but when she steals my work project, I make sure she learns a lesson in gratitude and humility. By getting her fired, my 26-year-old female friend, 24-year-old female, who we will call Tommy, of 2 years, with whom I happen to work, is currently pregnant after a successful IVF. Tommy went into credit card debt to do IVF because she couldn't afford it otherwise. She has a lot of financial issues, and in my opinion, she should have waited to have a baby given that she has zero savings and barely makes ends meet. Her mom has paid for everything baby-related so far, furnished her entire nursery because she doesn't have money to. I have noticed that Tammy often expects things because she is pregnant. For example, she says she has pregnancy privilege and has to eat first every day. We go one at a time on break, and if she doesn't get to go first, she says she has to take an extra 15 minutes. If someone else goes first, she says they are selfish for doing that to a pregnant girl. Her wife took a week off work to prepare the baby's nursery, so the whole week, Tammy called in sick and had everyone work short while she was actually out to eat shopping because she wanted to hang out with her wife and soak up the time they have before the baby comes. The following week, she actually ended up getting sick and had to miss another week of work, but called me crying because she couldn't afford to not have the money on her paycheck, but also blew through her paid time off, PTO, and didn't have any. My husband said it sounded like she called me hoping I'd donate some of my PTO to her. A lot more has happened, but there's a character limit, so I can't go too in-depth. Today, she brought up to me that she noticed no one is buying anything off of her baby registry for her shower in 2 weeks. Tammy had a friend text her about how she got excited and went a little overboard with a gift. But Tammy said she was frustrated because she checked her registry and nothing had been purchased. She went on a tangent that she hopes everyone attending the shower, including me, buys off of her registry and doesn't screw her over by buying things that they want to buy because she is banking on her registry for most of her baby's needs. I responded nicely by saying that she should be grateful for people showing up with gifts and that it is a bit unfair to be upset with friends for that. I also told her that saying all this to a guest coming to said shower is uncomfortable because she's making it sound like she will be mad if I don't follow the registry. She started crying and said she's nervous that she won't get what she wants for the baby and that she doesn't think it's asking too much to buy what she wants because it's about her. She didn't say much for the rest of the day, and I heard her on the phone with her wife saying I upset her and that I was harsh. She had similar expectations for her wedding. Her mom paid for it, but said Tammy can pay for the bar, but instead, she had guests bring their own alcohol to avoid costs. She mentioned numerous times leading up to it that she hoped her guests would give nice monetary gifts because her honeymoon was dependent on it, yet she was not willing to spend any of her own money. ETA. I was good friends with her until I saw how entitled and ungrateful of a person she is. She gets through life by banking on others to take care of her needs and will do anything necessary to get her way. If we didn't work together, I wouldn't be friends with her anymore. But I have no choice as we are co-workers and work in a very small team that would be very awkward if we didn't get along anymore. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If Tammy can't afford the baby now, she's really up for a rude awakening as said baby gets older. They just keep getting more expensive, not less. I guess I'm old, but if you can't afford to have a baby, expecting others to foot the bill is a jerk move. How's Tammy going to pay for childcare, healthcare, baby gymnastics, soccer, random martial art, yada yada? I'd dial back on the friendship. I'd be polite and distantly friendly. You can work with someone without having a bestie relationship thrust upon you. Comment 2. People shouldn't have weddings if they are expecting other people to pay for their expenses. People shouldn't have kids if they are expecting other people to pay for their kids. With that being said, she did have IVF. That means she has fertility issues and might have felt like it's a now or never thing. Are the baby gifts on her registry unreasonable in price? Or are there things on there that are reasonable within most people's budget? Just wondering why the gift registry she had is being avoided. Now, for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Well, things with Tommy have gone from bad to worse. The baby shower happened, and it was a disaster. She threw a fit when she saw that not everything was from her registry. She actually stopped opening presents halfway through to lecture everyone on how they had let her down. It was embarrassing. I just sat there wishing I could disappear. After the shower, Tammy's mom, who had been footing the bill for everything, finally had enough. She told Tammy she was cutting her off financially. Tammy was furious and started spreading rumors at work about her mom being heartless and cruel. It was a mess, and somehow I got dragged into it. Tammy expected me to back her up, but I couldn't. I didn't agree with her, but I also didn't want to cause more drama at work. Then Tammy's car broke down, and she had no money to fix it. She started asking coworkers for rides, and when they couldn't help, she guilt-tripped them. She even had the nerve to ask me for a loan, knowing full well I was saving up for my own family. I said no, and she stopped talking to me for a week. But then she acted like nothing happened and asked me again. I still said no. The final straw was when Tammy took credit for a project I had been working on for months. She presented it to our boss as her own, and he was impressed. I was furious, but felt powerless. I didn't want to be the one causing trouble, so I kept quiet. I regret that now. Tammy's behavior has made work unbearable. I'm looking for a new job, but it's tough. I feel stuck, and I'm angry at myself for not standing up to her sooner. Thanks for reading. My best friend of 15 years betrays me over his ex. So I expose the web of lies and watch as his world comes crashing down. For some context, I have had my best friend since we were about 9, and we are 21 now. When he was 15, he started dating Tawny, and he was immediately in love. She was 17 and had been through some serious difficulties while he was a pretty sheltered suburban kid. For the past 5+ years, she put him through hell. Imagine any horrible thing a woman can do to a guy who puts her on a pedestal, multiply it by 10, and that was their relationship. His parents forced him to cut off contact, and he's been despondent ever since. Last night I went out, and I was the designated driver, but the guys I went with wanted to go to an after party and I left. About 3 blocks outside of downtown, I see a girl walking by herself, probably not safe for a girl dressed for the club. As I passed her, she started waving frantically at me, and in the rear view, I saw it was Tawny. I gave it a second's worth of thought and realized that no matter how much I hated her, I didn't want to see some horrible story on my local Reddit page. I did a U-turn and asked if she was okay. She said her friends ditched her and she was walking home. I asked if she still lived at the same apartment, and she said yes, but she could make it. It's about 15 miles from downtown. I have no doubt in her brain she thought it was only a couple more blocks. I said I'd give her a ride, and she accepted. However, I turned on voice memos on my phone so the entire ride would be recorded. She was very thankful, and we just made small talk, and it wasn't weird until I dropped her off when she said she have to get a selfie with you, which she took without even asking me, and that was that. And she got out. She posted the selfie to Instagram with a caption, "Sometimes life makes you realize you spent 5 years with the wrong friend." I guess within 1 minute of her posting that, my phone started blowing up. I told him I was driving and I would call him back. By the time I got home, he was waiting for me and had worked himself into a pitch and had created insane stories about what had happened. I told him to come in, and despite having audio of the whole ride, he refuses to accept what happened. He keeps going between I sought her out because I knew she was an easy conquest to believing me about seeing her on the road, but that I should have let her walk. And because of my actions, she's all he can think about again, and his recovery is blown. I keep asking him how he saw her Instagram picture when he's supposed to have her blocked, and how he saw it so fast unless he had notifications turned on. He's always looking at her page. He won't answer either of those and keeps going back to what a jerk I am. The sun is coming up, and I'm exhausted from trying to soothe his breakdown. I'm asking here because a huge part of me thinks I did the right thing. Another part of me says my loyalty should have been to him, and I should have known even this simple act would cause drama because drama and Tawny orbit each other. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, JC. Your friend needs serious therapy, like mega intensive therapy. Just a post from his ex causes this intensive a spiral for him? You had a recording of your entire interaction with her. I don't remember if you said 15 miles or 15 blocks, but it really doesn't matter. That far isn't safe to walk alone at night. That's the entire reason you gave her a ride. Your friend needs to take a chill pill. Seriously. ETA, I definitely understand why your friend got upset based on that post. That caption was, oof, but you are his friend, and he should know you better than to assume the worst based on a post and a caption. You have the entire interaction you had with his ex recorded. Give him a few days to cool off, and hopefully he comes to his senses and realizes you had good intentions and just wanted to be a decent human. I stand by what I originally said, though. Your friend definitely needs therapy. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You did do the right thing. She took your kind gesture and spun it around with one pic and caption. That caption was extremely oof, but it wasn't your doing. Let your friend have his breakdown and calm himself down for a bit and get back to him. The evidence you have is the truth. You have your friends to corroborate. You have the length of the audio recording, the length of the drive, the timestamp of the post. Assuming your friend finally believes you, what would he have rather seen in his feed? That selfie of her home safe, or an article that something happened to her? This is not a question of loyalty, but of character. And you showed a good bit of it with your action, as long as you felt safe doing it. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around after my last post. Things have only gotten messier since then. So my buddy, let's call him Mark, was already on thin ice with his emotions, right? Well, Tawny being Tawny didn't stop at that Instagram post. She started texting him again, and Mark, he's like a moth to a flame with her. He says he's just trying to get closure, but we all know that's a load of bull. He's sucked back into her drama vortex, and I'm the bad guy for picking her up that night. But here's where it gets real twisted. Mark's sister, who's always been the quiet type, suddenly comes out with this news. She's been seeing someone on the down low, and guess who? It's Tawny's ex, the one before Mark. This guy's bad news, been in and out of trouble. But Mark's sister is convinced he's changed. Mark loses it, says his sister's betraying the family, and now there's this whole feud going on. Amidst all this, Tawny's ex starts stirring the pot, saying he's got dirt on Tawny that could set Mark free or whatever. He's playing games, but Mark's sister is eating it up, thinking she's found some kind of knight in tarnished armor. Now remember how I said Mark's parents made him cut off contact with Tawny? Well, they're back in the picture, and they're furious. They think I'm the one who's brought Tawny back into Mark's life, and they're blaming me for all the chaos. They've even threatened to cut him off financially if he doesn't stay away from her. But that's just pushing him closer to the edge. And just when you think it can't get any worse, Tawny pulls the ultimate move. She claims she's pregnant with Mark's baby. The timing doesn't add up, but Mark's so wrapped up in her web, he believes it. He's talking about dropping out of school, getting a job, the whole 9 yards. And me? I'm the only one calling BS, but no one's listening. So Mark's life is spiraling, his family's at war, and I'm the villain in everyone's story. I'm watching my best friend throw his life away, and there's nothing I can do about it. I keep telling myself I did the right thing that night, but now I'm not so sure. Thanks for reading this mess. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.